Hello, my name is Tiffany Knearem, and I'm a UX researcher at Google on the material design team. I will be presenting the case study, Exploring the Future of Design Tooling, the Role of Artificial Intelligence in Tools for User Experience Professionals. So what value, if any, does AI bring to the design process? And by AI, artificial intelligence, we mean things that are truly driven by AI, as well as things that users perceive to be driven by AI. A little bit of background on this work, on artificial intelligence in design tools in particular. It's rapidly becoming embedded in design workflows. For example, Figma has an auto layout resizing feature. And also the prior work in this area suggests that AI can help in design tooling, particularly with automating repetitive tasks and supporting early stage design exploration. But what's missing is how is AI perceived by user experience professionals? So that leads us to our research questions. The first one is, how do UX professionals perceive AI-driven assists in design tools? The next one is, what are their concerns around accepting AI in their day-to-day tools? And finally, which design-related workflows are promising for the future of AI-driven design? To get at this, we surveyed UX professionals to understand their perceptions of AI in design tooling. Digging deeper into the methods, we did an online survey of UX professionals at a large multinational technology company. We conducted the survey in May 2022, which is before the release of ChatGPT and the other generative AI tools that are now on the scene in 2023. 71 UX professionals began the survey, out of which 51 completed it for a 71.8% completion rate. The table here on the right side shows the different roles that completed the survey, as well as their tenure in that role. As you can see, a lot of designers and researchers took the survey. For the survey design, we included 18 questions, 9 of which were close-ended, such as Likert scale questions, and 9 of which were open-ended. We put them into 4 categories. The first one is demographics. So we were really trying to understand who it was that was taking the survey. Next, we asked them about attitudes towards AI, both in general and within design tooling. And then we presented them with speculative vignettes for designing with AI. For this one, we came up with 3 vignettes that we thought were reasonable based on prior work that we've done, and showed each person one randomly selected vignette. So they did not see all 3. And then finally, we asked use of personal data questions, how comfortable they would be using various forms of data to train AI. For the data analysis, for the open-ended questions, we conducted a thematic analysis where multiple coders went through the data and created and discussed the codes that they came up with, from which, that compared with the quantitative data, we derived 4 themes: AI for creativity support, AI for mundane task support, use cases for AI in design tools, and challenges around AI acceptance. And we'll dig into each one of these in the findings. So let's move on to that. The first finding here, AI for creativity support. UX professionals saw AI as their creative partner. So this broke out kind of into 2 topics. The first one is UX designers. They had certain ideas, and then UX researchers and content writers kind of came up with different things. So for UX designers, they're really interested in supporting ideation, having AI, as their creative partner in that way. So for example, finding and summarizing other designers' work, you got to show them what's happening, showing them how other designers have approached design-related problems in the past to help them with problem solving, organizing ideas during their brainstorming sessions, and finally generating variations of UI. Interestingly, this came up before it was widely available, because this survey was taken again before the release of ChatGPT. And then for UX researchers and content writers, they wanted their creative partner AI to keep them in the flow. So for example, reviewing and refining their writing, providing natural language descriptions for visual designs that they're working with, and generating content based on an outline that they provide. For the next finding, AI for mundane task support, my design intern. So people felt that AI in this way could kind of focus as an intern for them, helping them out. Across all UX professionals, they requested help with tasks that they found repetitive. So, for example, the AI could take on things that were currently manual, but that are straightforward enough for the AI to be able to learn. The AI could do tasks that currently interfere with the user's ability to focus on the creative work that they really want to do. And also, it could catch errors that often appear in repetitive work. Some examples that they gave really focused on language-based tasks. So, for example, finding initial themes in the data, synthesizing brainstorm data during a design sprint, and transcribing and annotating user interview data. This was especially prevalent amongst UX researchers. In both of these cases, users were over and over telling us that they wanted control over the final outcomes. So they wanted to be able to accept or reject the suggestions of AI or turn it off if they felt like they didn't need it. In the next finding, the use cases for AI and design tools, this goes back to the speculative vignettes that we showed users. So over here on the right, you can see a table here, a graph with 3 vignettes, AI to convert a design. So it would convert your design into something. AI for accessibility, where the AI would kind of help out with accessibility checking, and AI for new UI. It would generate new UI. And as you can see, here from the percentage of people who selected they were somewhat likely or extremely likely to use this type of tool, most common was Vignette 2, AI for accessibility, emerged as the clearest use case. So why is that? Firstly, we asked them. So firstly, they said that accessibility is very important in design. However, accessibility guidelines are hard to keep up with and understand. And manually checking for accessibility is inefficient and error-prone. So the UX professionals were hopeful that AI in the future could suggest accessibility improvements, correct their errors early in the design process, and even help them learn more about how to design for accessibility. There were, of course, concerns around AI acceptance. We asked a few questions on this, and the results came up in kind of 2 areas. First one is workflow related. The second one is trust and reliability and ethics. So for workflow related concerns, UX professionals were concerned whether the AI capabilities have advanced enough to be useful for design work specifically. They were also concerned that their workflows have a lot of unique events, so it might be hard to distill patterns for AI to be trained on. As far as ethics and trust, reliability goes, within the ethics concerns, there were concerns about introducing existing biases into their designs. So basically, the AI would be learning off of like poor design patterns, for example. Misuse of AI kind of widely, is it going to harm people? And privacy and use of personal data, concerns over using data that they don't find acceptable. As far as trust and reliability goes, there were concerns both way here. Firstly, quality of the AI input. So what the AI is being trained on, is it good quality? And then also quality of the AI output. Can I trust what the AI spits out to me to be true and correct and useful for me? So to recap all of this, AI-driven design tools should, firstly, be humble. They should state limitations. Users should be able to understand, what's possible with this tool and what's not, so they can calibrate their expectations. Secondly, of course, be properly trained. This is very important and it seems easy, but we know that this is actually very challenging. And then finally, give users the ultimate control to accept or reject suggestions given by AI. These are the early days for AI and design tooling. More research is needed to understand this rapidly evolving landscape, especially as generative AI enters the design tooling market. So yes, more research will be needed. Thank you very much for listening. If you have any questions, please reach out to me at tknearem@google.com. I would love to chat with you. And thank you again.